Am I on? I guess I am. Okay.
So welcome to all. I think they can hear me now. Welcome to all for the special Sunday Adult Forum with the Reverend Mario Melendez, our Associate Rector. This is the last in our series of We Are the Church, You Are the Church, I Am the Church. And today, appropriately, Mario will be telling a little bit about his faith journey, his spiritual testimony, his religious autobiography, fill in the blank, on however you want to describe it like that. And so, without further ado.
Thank you. So I want to say thank you for being here. I've been very, very excited about doing this. I am going to do something a little different, and that is that I was thinking about my spiritual autobiography. I was thinking about everything that's happened in my life. There's so much, right? Like remember for ordination seminary, they want you to write this stuff. I'm like, really, you want me to? Because we could talk for hours about this stuff. So what I decided to do was, I'm going to concentrate on a chunk of that. So think of this as the mini-series, the series. And this is a particular chapter, right? Not necessarily the opening chapter, but I would say one of the early chapters. Does that sound all right? Okay, so what you're seeing right now is pictures from my ordination as a priest. This is in the Diocese of Western Newfoundland in the Anglican Church of Canada, okay? This is the cathedral in Corner Brook, which is the biggest city in the Western Newfoundland of 20,000 people, okay? All right, so he's retired now, but that was Archbishop Percy. His last name is Coffin. Can you imagine being a priest and having your last name as Coffin? I mean, of course, no. So that was an amazing day. It really was an amazing day. And here's the thing: when it comes to vocation, what comes to mind? What comes to mind when you think about vocation? Anybody? Life's mission, okay. What else? Career. We have career, okay. What else? Anybody else? What you like to do, okay. Anybody else? And I think connected to vocation, and I guess this is one way of learning your vocation, is literally Jesus telling you, okay, follow me, we're going somewhere. It has been said that vocation is how God calls us to serve him in the world. I mean, I'm not saying this is the definition, but one way to see it is how God calls us to serve him in the world. I want you to think about that. Maybe that resonates with you, right? And as I'm thinking about that, God calls us through baptism to serve in a specific way of life, right? It's a shame because sometimes when you say vocation in the church, it's almost automatically clergy, priest, deacon. But there's so much. Because again, baptism. Remember our baptism, right? Our baptism. We can be, and there's many things. Maybe you can be so many things. Maybe you were a teacher. Maybe you, or you are a teacher, or whether you retire or not. There are so many things. There's so many things we can do in our lives, right? In the words of Santa Teresa de Avila, and I just discovered that there's something that he's working on, and there's a prayer that he likes. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's for the calendar. The calendar. When I saw it, it's like, look at that. So the soul is capable of much more than we can imagine. Find joy in everything that leads to God. In everything that leads to God, right? Everything that leads to God. And if you go to St. Catherine of Siena, when we are whom we are called to be, we will set the world ablaze. Called to be, set the world ablaze, right? And the process of determining this is what? Discernment. And once again, I put discernment and I put Episcopal Church and it will in the Google machine, and it will bring me different dioceses. And sometimes it just goes right to, discernment for the priesthood. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I get that, but there's so much more than that. Not to mention what happens before in our lives. What's happening at that particular moment. That particular moment. And in my case, what I want to do, remember how I said I want to show you just a chunk. So we're going to go back. We're going to go back to a time in my life. It's around 2008. So I'm taking you back to 2008. Now, here's the thing that we need to remember. I was running from my vocation. I was running from my calling. I've been running from that since I was 14 years old. I wanted nothing, and I mean nothing to do with that. And every so often, the idea would come, and I'd be like, but I would think it's a joke. I would think it's a joke. And once again, no, not doing it. Not doing it. And every so often, God will take a fork and just go like, right? And once again, no. Until finally, I gave up. I gave up. I surrender. It was a surrender. I couldn't run anymore. But of course, and that happened in 2007. It happened in March 25 of 2007. That's the day in which, boom, it wasn't funny anymore. In fact, I asked myself, why is this funny? Why is this funny? And you know what happened? Why is this funny? I remember feeling a sense of peace, a sense of, it's hard to describe. I came out of it, and the first thing that came to my mind is like, I know, no. The king was on the ground, right? So, 2008, I figure, I gotta go to seminary, right? Oh, wait a minute, I never finished my undergrad, right? At the time, I was living in Indiana. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Indiana. I was living in Lafayette, with my sister's family. This is after a divorce from my first marriage, and my daughter Maggie from that marriage, she was living in New England. And when that happened, when that moment happened, by the way, wow. Wow, I gotta go back to college. But I was in my 30s. So there I am as an undergrad in my 30s in a classroom with 20-year-olds. And in one of those classrooms, I was older than the professor. But people didn't know those first days that I was in my 30s. Okay? And it's still there. Chapel of the Good Shepherd is both the Episcopal Campus Ministry at Purdue University. It is also the parish of the city of West Lafayette. The Purdue University is actually in the city of West Lafayette. Anybody been to Purdue? Or you have? Yeah, you have. Have you? Did you went there? Yeah. So that's the again. That was the campus ministry. Not only there, this is where I was received into the Episcopal Church. This is when I was received. And the bishop said, and I'm paraphrasing, Mario, we acknowledge you as a member of the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church, and we receive you into the fellowship of this communion. See, I was already confirmed in the Catholic Church, Roman Catholic Church, I should say. So, as one priest told me many, many years ago, a Catholic priest told me many, many years ago, God raised you in one part of his church and called you to serve in another part of the church. And that was very important, especially I was explaining all this to my family, who is still Catholic, by the way. Right? So, I was part of the normal life of not only the parish and the ministry. By the way, that's Father Peter Bunder. He's retired now. He was the longest serving priest in the Episcopal Diocese of Indianapolis, and he was a Roman Catholic priest. So the first time I went to Good Shepherd, oh wow, because I could talk to him and he understood me. He used to say, he said, I don't have much hair now, but he used to be one of those long hair priests from from Vatican II, right? And he was from Rochester, and he said all good Polish boys from New York, from Rochester, New York, were priests, right? But eventually he becomes an Episcopal priest. By the way, he was ordained as a Catholic priest in the Diocese of Richmond. Not that far from here, in the 70s. Not that far from here. And then later, becomes a priest in the Diocese of Southern Virginia when he becomes an Episcopal priest. And in my congregation of Holy Apostles, there's people that remember his ordination as a Catholic priest. They were like, so when they're like, Peter Bunder? You mean Father Peter Bunder? Yeah, Father Peter Bunder. And as I'm doing the campus ministry, not only at Purdue, but I get a chance to do it in other parts. There's Province 5. Province 5 is basically the province that includes a bunch of the universities in the Midwest. Think University of Chicago, think Northwestern, think Michigan, all that. So I got a chance to be part of that. And it was great, and it was not only was fun, but I even got to go to Gather, which was, as I gather around the table, it was an event for young adults and college students from across the Episcopal Church, and we went to YMCA of the Rockies. Anybody been to that area? That was very important in my formation. There I was, even though most of them were younger than me, but many of them, like me, were discerning. We're in discernment. Discernment there. And again, it was amazing. The stories. The stories that I could tell. Whoops, I went too fast. Let's see. Okay. I even went to General Convention in Indianapolis at 2012. And at the time, because of course I could just get in a car, drive an hour, and there I was, right? When's the last time you did that for a general convention? Drive an hour, right? And there was this Puerto Rican priest from the Diocese of Massachusetts called Father Daniel Pérez Rivera. And I just met him. And he was doing a podcast. He was talking to young Latinos, Latino college students and all those, and in particular those who were considering the vocation to the priesthood. So, that's him. That skinny guy there is me. The other guy is Carlos de la Torre. Carlos de la Torre eventually became a priest, and yours truly. And think about formation, and again, this is why it's so important. Father Daniel Pérez Rivera, you know, is in this diocese right now. And back then, I met him, he became one of my mentors. He became one of the mentors that helped to shape my formation, right? Wow. So, you know, I did the normal Episcopal stuff. This is in the upstairs of the Good Shepherd. There was this beautiful setup with couches and a TV. And, you know, the first week that I was a Good Shepherd, Father Peter goes like, and of course, it took me a while to call him Peter. I could not call him Peter. He says, here's the key. Here's the key to what? To the church, so you can, if you guys want to hang out upstairs whenever you want. So we will go there, not only study, but have, do stuff. So in a way, some of this is pretty much normal, common, in terms of how things have come out, especially. Does this look a little? How about you, my fellow seminarian? Thank you for being here, by the way. Is this sort of like a little bit similar? Not saying the same, right? But here's the thing. This happened. I joined because I was at a coffee shop and there was this improv student club at this coffee shop doing a show. And I love improv, I love watching it. And one of the guys said, you should come. We have what we call an open forum. Every Friday, the Purdue Improv Club, every Friday, they still do, every Friday at 7 at a particular classroom, it's always the same classroom, we do open forum. Anybody can join. Anybody can do improv. Wow. Anybody? Anybody. Whoops. You see? Technology, I tell you. This is coming from somebody who was in the IT world. That was part of my life. So here's something that I learned during improv. Saying yes. Has anybody ever done improv? You have to say yes. If your partner in the scene saying, "Oh, you're Horatio Blanford," I don't know, you're Captain whoever, you can say no. You have to say yes, because if you say no, what happens? The scene dies. Which I learned from that is that, well, I should say, what I'm still learning from that is that a situation comes, you can say no to it. The situation is going to laugh at your face and my face. I'm still here. Yes, you are. Yes to a situation. Yes to a person. Yes to a pastoral situation, right, Charles? Yes to an emergency. Yes to that call at 2 a.m. to go to the hospital. Yes to go to court, to stand next to somebody. So either just to stand there because I'm wearing my collar, or to talk to the judge. All that. And another thing happens. That was a Purdue Improv Club. These are pictures from, because of my ministry, because of my friends, I started to also hang out with friends from the Purdue Non-Theist Society. This is basically an association of students that are consider themselves to be atheists, agnostics, deists, and everything else. And eventually, they even invited me to one of their Halloween parties, right? And it was great. It was awesome. And since many of them were nerdy, and I was nerdy, it was great. It was great. that I could do that. Yeah. And then even something more interesting starts to happen from all this. Something interesting happens. And that is that all, whether I met them through ministry stuff, whether I met them because I was giving a lot pastoral counseling in coffee shops sometimes. Some students that absolutely would not walk through to the doors of a church, but they would go to a coffee shop and see me. And before you know it, they start coming, hanging out with us at Good Shepherd, Episcopal Ministry, upstairs. Right? He was from the Purdue Non-Theist Association. Also, the Purdue Mathematics, I think it was Purdue Mathematics, theater and improv. Improv. Episcopal Student Association and improv. He's now married to, oh no, she's not here now. Married to somebody that's going to be here later. Whoops. Why is it doing that? You know what? Fine. And we spend so many nights. It will be like, I don't know, it will be like 11 p.m. on a Saturday or whatever, and then one of us call each other and say, "What are you doing?" "I don't know, nothing." "Well, let's go to Good Shepherd. And we would start texting each other, and before you know it, you have a group there. And there was a kitchen and all that, so we would make dinners and we would make stuff. It was amazing. Oh, that's Tina. So that's the one who's married to the other guy. That's where people meet their spouses, right? And you are doing this to me again, are you? Fine. So you want to do it? But then, because of improv, by the way, I met somebody. And and of course, I was a geek. She was a geek. And we for improv, for every Halloween, we would do improv in costume while wearing the stuff. And this is, of course, it is 2012. Anybody here a Star Trek nerd like I am? We are pretending that I am a character called Chicote who has this tattoo here, and she's pretending to be an Orion. That's why she's green. And that's a delegate because we are delegates from the United Federation of Planets, and we want you to vote for Janeway and Chicote, Captain Janeway and Commander Chicote, right? My beloved is part of my discernment journey. My beloved is part of my vocation formation. I see Charles going like this. There's so much that I have learned with her, from her, right? So many things. By the way, that's my daughter Maggie. She's 14 there. She's almost 21. And she is in the University of New Hampshire studying earth science. And she just came back from a semester abroad in New Zealand. And she was there. I don't know whose idea was to do the whole Abbey Road thing. I can't remember, but we did it anyway. Gabriel Sosa from Costa Rica. I met them through the Purdue mathematics thing. We were doing a mathematics event and we met. You get a whole bunch of because I was for a while the president of the Episcopal Student Association. He was for a time the president of the Mathematics Association, and we sort of met. Mike Brownstein, Purdue non-theist. That's how I met him. And by the way, he also comes from a Jewish family. He said, "Am I going to burst into flames?" "Oh, you're not going to burst into flames, don't worry." Of course, that skinny guy there. And at the end, Gavin Pugh, he was part of the improv. He was with Good Shepherd. He was with Good Shepherd as a as a president for a while. Best man in my wedding. And not only that, but he would marry somebody else that you saw previously because he met her at improv and took her to all this stuff. And I am proud to say that wow. You know, let's do it this way, see if this works. Okay, fine. I'll just have to do it. I want to apologize for this. I baptized their first son, Gavin and Liz. Question. Discernment. Are you still discerning? One could say yes. Where has that discernment led you? To a lot of us, it led us here. Well, what about tomorrow? And the people you're going to meet, not only here, but outside, and the friendships, and the strangers, and the people that have nothing to do with the Episcopal Church. And yet, they will continue to shape our lives. They will continue to be in our journey. They will continue to be in our journey. Oh, okay, now you do it. Fine. Okay, I will do it that way. Before I forget, yes, this is St. Gregory's Abbey. It is a monastery of Benedictines in the Episcopal Church in Three Rivers, Michigan. A lot of people don't know that the Episcopal Church has monks and nuns, by the way. Yes, we do. We have Benedictines, we have Franciscans, we have Dominicans. And I would go, so when I heard about this place, I was like, oh, I want to go. And Peter, the chaplain, he would give me money so I could pay for the train. I would take a train from the station of Indianapolis, take it all the way to, I forget where in Michigan, and then one of the monks would come pick me up at the train station and bring me to the monastery. Right? I've spent many weekends there. It was the first time that I did the hours, as in, because you had the bells. And so, it's time for matins. Oh, it's time for this. And because they're Anglicans, 4 p.m., it's time for tea. They have tea time. They have tea time. You have tea time. This gives you an idea. This is unfortunately the last time I was there, but it was around the time of the 6th of January, which was the Three Wise Men. And we were there. I was there with Catherine. We actually spent the weekend there. It was a beautiful day. If Todd was here, maybe he'll see it later. He can take a look at that, right? By the way, I proposed to my wife in that chapel. Proposed to her in that chapel. The monks were in it. The monks were definitely in it. The guest master, I told the guest master, I want to be there for a weekend. I want to propose to my wife. And he said, great! I can't remember the last time that happened. And he said, Father William was, I think he's still there, the guest master. And he said, can I tell the other monks? Yes, absolutely, you can tell the other monks. So I went, there I was, I proposed to my wife. After that, this is just before Vesper, so it was time for tea. And when we get there, and all the monks were there, and they were like, yeah, And Father Jude, the late Father Jude, who at the time was almost 90, and gave me a blessing to me and her. He joined the monastery in the late 40s. And he gave us a blessing, and he said, I can't remember the last time I saw something like this. And then later, these are pictures from, because we set a monastery, and then I remember after I proposed to her and we left, there was no cell signal at the monastery. It was really, really bad. So we drove somewhere so we could call people and text people, tell you, so no, this happened. And a couple of things will start to happen after that. But that's a story for another time. Questions? Comments?
What were you doing before that made you keep saying no?
And repeat the question for the
Oh, of course, yes. Thank you for reminding me. So my sister in Christ is asking me, what was I doing before I surrendered to the priesthood? What was I doing? Oh, many things. I went to college. For the first time I went to college, I was in Puerto Rico. I studied political science for a bit. I thought I was going to be a lawyer. Oof. I would be a terrible lawyer. I like lawyers. They've been to my house, and one of my best friends is a lawyer, okay? I want to make that clear. And then I thought music, because I play guitar, so I ended up going to Berklee College of Music in Boston. I was there for a bit, couldn't afford it, stay there. Ended up working at Blockbuster. I was good at computers, I was good at video games, and that led me to a career in IT. I was the IT guy. I was the one who came and fixed your computer. And that was actually what I was doing when finally the hammer dropped. And some other things that I can remember right now.
You mentioned your Catholic upbringing. Have you grown dissatisfied with the Catholic Church, frustrated by it?
Back then, I would say back then, yes. Back then, I was living in Boston. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Charles Eastman. He was asking me about my Catholic background. He's asking me about my Catholic background and whether I was frustrated or disenchanted with the Catholic Church. That sounds about right. I would say that in my 20s, especially when I moved to the States, I was a little bit away already from the church, but also I was living in Boston at the time, and then the abuse scandal happened. I was in Boston when that happened. And then that was the last straw. And the cardinal at the time, he did not treat that well, let's just say. And that was the last straw. That was the last straw. However, again, some of you know this, the church that I came here before I came here was part of the Catholic Church. Church of the Holy Apostles in Virginia Beach. It belongs to the Episcopal Diocese of Virginia and belongs to the Catholic Diocese of Richmond. So for 5 years, I reported to 2 bishops. And my family couldn't be any happier. At some point, I'll bring a book for the 200th anniversary of the diocese. It's like one of those massive coffee table books. And in the last paragraph for the information of my parish, and the co-pastor, episcopal co-pastor is the Reverend Mario Melendez. I'm in the book. I'm in the book. So yeah. Anybody else? Yes, Charles.
A little bit more about Father Daniel.
Uh-huh.
It's just that I think people know and don't know about our brothers.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Father Daniel, right now he is, let's see. Yeah, he's there. He's currently the vicar at San Gabriel's Episcopal Church in Lisburg. So, and he has a bilingual community, but in his particular case, the Spanish crowd is actually bigger than the English crowd. And he's been a force of nature when it comes to fighting for the Latino community in the Episcopal Church. And when him and me and other Latino priests get together, and we go like, oh, that bishop did what? that commission of ministry said what? All that, right? And he in this diocese, he's been very important. In fact, not only has he filled in for me a couple of times, I have filled in for him too sometimes when he has to go. In fact, he is going to be giving trying to remember where he's going to be, at the seminary. I forget which seminary. He's going to go give a sermon on October 13th. So that Sunday at 3 p.m., I will be the priest at San Gabriel in Lisburg. And If you need to know anything about the story of the Latino community in the Episcopal Church, if you need to know anything about which community is ready to have a church right now, if you want to know about resources, if you want to know the truth, and he will tell you the truth, and he doesn't care, you ask him. And all priests and deacons and people, everybody that met him knows that. If you're going to ask him a question, you better be ready for the answer. So he's been very, and a lot of people here, a lot of people in this community actually know him as well. So for a couple of times they have come here, they came here for a couple of services and so on. And one of our goals is, hopefully, is to do more joint events and perhaps even do like a joint retreat maybe at some point in the future. Yeah. Padre Daniel. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Rob.
So you were talking about you were running away.
I was running away, yes.
You were 14.
Yes, sir.
I guess what were the how to word it messages? What were
What was happening in my mind, in my heart, or whatever? See, I'll start with this. I thought priests walked on water. Literally. I thought priests were, wow. And I would just look at me, I'd be like, me, a priest? It was a combination of being funny and also, I can't do that. I can't be like Father Jose. I can't do that. So sometimes people ask me, was it the celibacy thing? Was it the celibacy thing? Was it that I'm never get married? Actually, no, that wasn't really a thing. It didn't bother me. It was more of, because it was more of, it happens, no, it was more of that. And yes, there were a couple of things, I remember a couple of things that couldn't really grasp. For example, the authority of the Bishop of Rome in the entire church. I believe, back then and now, I believe it's the real person. I believe it's the body of Christ. It's not a symbol. None of that. I would say that my theology hasn't changed in understanding of the Eucharist. But as priests, if somebody comes to us and say, I believe in the real presence, and I think this, and this, and this, okay. Charles and I would not throw holy water at you and throw you out. Because that's not the Anglican way. We say we live in your presence. Was the ascension of the Blessed Virgin Mary, is that something that I needed to believe? And I found it interesting. But the idea that every Roman Catholic has to believe in that, kind of like, So that's so it was some theological stuff, you know? But here's the thing. I still treasure that part of my life. If you go to my library, you will see it. You probably saw it. I quoted a few mystics, and I was going to throw in San Juan de la Cruz, the cross, but I didn't have time for that. That's still part of me. Still part of me. And that is helping me with being a priest here, especially for the Spanish-speaking community. Because most of us, not saying all of us, but most of us in that group come from the Roman Catholic Church. Which is why, starting next Saturday, at 7 p.m. as part of the Mass in Spanish, we're going to start First Communion preparation. In the Anglican context, because unlike when I got First Communion, which was basically part of my journey, I didn't have communion until my First Communion. The way we do it in the Anglican Church is that you already have what you need, which is baptism. So this is almost like if you ever listen to an opera, and you have that aria, you have that moment. It's just it's a beautiful moment in the music that already started. Right? The music already started. So we're going to talk to you, and talk a little bit about what it is to be Anglican, especially about Scripture, tradition, and reason. So that they'll be part of that. And in the Latino community, Primera Comunión is a big deal. So we're going to be doing that. And that's, again, and I would not be here today if it wasn't for so much stuff, including the stuff you saw today. You could say, well, you figure it out, right? Charles, you're ready to figure it out, right? This is, well, yes and no. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I forget. Do you know why we wear black? Do you know what priests like to wear black? It's because we want to be cool. No. And I forget this sometimes. This is supposed to be a reminder of our mortality. It's supposed to be a reminder of our mortality. That's why we wear black. It's not because we want to look like, want to wear skinny jeans or whatever, right? It's a reminder of our mortality. Well, why do I need a reminder of my mortality? Because as priests, especially with the gifts and the responsibilities that we have, remember, you're here now. You don't know about tomorrow. You don't know about tomorrow. Which you could make the point. That could be a reminder to anybody. We get a reminder of that when we get the ashes, right? Same thing. Anybody else? We got time? Yeah.
After you had quite a long time searching and not knowing,
Mm-hmm.
what did your family think about when you decided to become a Christian?
So the question is, after all this searching, after all this, what did my family think when I was on a journey to become an Episcopal priest? It was hard for them. It's hard for any family. Whenever a member of the family goes to another tradition, Christian tradition, there are the normal questions. Why? Did we do something wrong? What's wrong? Is there something wrong with the church? Is there something we could have done? And unfortunately, in some cases, I meet people that go to another tradition. Notice how I'm saying, I'm not saying converted. There's only one faith. Right? If I became Jewish, yeah. So into a tradition. Some people go to another tradition and then they become really, not only you become really energy, but also sometimes angry. Also sometimes I see it. Your church is, and you don't know anything about the Bible, and I seen it, and they do it to their family, and their family are like. I didn't do that for many reasons. Number one, because I saw how that happened in Puerto Rico. And number two, because I didn't see it as a death sentence or anything like that. And what my family eventually came around, why? Because I could talk to my sister about Santa Teresa de Avila. I could talk to my now my late grandmother in Mexico about First Communion, even though it was a little different. And when my late father was about to die, my sister, Catholic sister, was in the room when I gave my father last rites from the Book of Common Prayer. Because you can do that, You can do that. Does that help? Yeah. Anybody else? Oh, we have one. That will be the last one, okay? Yeah.
I don't have a question. I just think it's remarkable that you were able to discern your calling, even though you knew at a young age. It reminds me of the parable about Jonah and the whale running away.
Oh.
And it's difficult to discern, I think, in this world today, what is one's calling. And I like how you opened up with what is our vocation and the calling, our calling, especially what God's calling us to do. And it's just remarkable that you're able to do that. I thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you.
Giving us much joy in your Christian.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jonah and the whale. Yeah, Jonah and the whale.
I'm just going to try to tie it all. It's so beautiful. I'm going to grab the mic just so I can
Yes, 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 yes. And let me take the turn this off.
We talked about coincidences a bunch. Myself, Mario, and Father Danielle all attended Boston University at some juncture in our lives. Father Danielle's the one who texted me from a conference from Canuga, I believe, and said, "Oh, when we were posting this position, you know," and so God works in mysterious ways and all that, and in purposeful ways. Yeah. So if you've been keeping score from home, we've had 3 years of this I Am the Church in 2022. I provided mine. Last year, Todd provided his. This year, Mario is providing his. 2025 could be you. You know, so open it up to I Am the Church and to provide your testimony. So thank you, Mario. Let's give him a round of applause.